Don't you hate wrestling with predictability? The garbage man, the sexy boy, boring ass TV? How did I get to work in here? Somebody tell me, please. The WWF is confusing to me. With Vince as mean as you've ever seen. I told old Patterson I'm done here in June. When a sudden voice inside me whispered, Vinny, don't sell your dream so soon. And everywhere I look, there's a Ted with a hand to hold on to. And everywhere I look, there's a place and a promotion who needs you. And it's there you'll book when you're lost out there and you're all alone. And WCW's waiting to carry you home. It's there you'll book. And it's there I'll book. A doobity-ba-ba-ba, headed to Atlanta and listen to this podcast. It's all right, even though it fucking makes fun of everything I've ever done. Backbone Wrestling Network. Welcome back to episode 37 of Are You Smarter Than Vince Russo's WCW? I know we ended on a dour note last time with David Arquette winning the title. And I was like, we'll be back, and we're back. So before we get kicked off, as always, I'm Scott Shiflett. Joining me tonight, as always, backbone of the backbone, Logan Crossland. Logan, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, as always. And yeah, we were pretty down after the last one, but despite it being very Russo-fied and its booking as a whole, I think we'll end up liking this Nitro more than we probably thought we would coming in, or at least I will.
Yeah, that was just Logan. I thought he fell and bumped his head when he told me
I think I was just in a really good mood.
Yeah, that's what he told me. Like, he prefaced it saying he's in a very good mood and we watched the episode. I watched the first 45 minutes like I normally did and finished the last part of the show tonight. And I was literally hitting the pause button on my remote to see how long I had left. And it felt like every 30 seconds. So, not my favorite. Some parts were my favorite. Other parts, it's like Russo booking where he does 6 months of storylines in 30 minutes. Which we'll see tonight with, spoiler alert, someone looking to be dead in a grave and then rising up and whooping the person's ass 30 minutes later. Another wrestler going through a table and then fighting in the main event and looking like a badass. Spoiler, Billy Kidman's still going to look like Billy Bitch. And it feels like the feud's pivoted from Billy Kidman versus Hulk Hogan to Mike Awesome versus Hulk Hogan. We'll talk about that. Also talk about two debuts from people that they said were free agents, and I had no idea they were. I'm going to have to check that out. And they were then had their ass beaten 5 minutes after their debut. But we'll get there. But yeah, let's kick it off, Logan. So this is May 1st, 2000 Nitro. We're 2 weeks away from my birthday. So that's right. Nitro will fall on my birthday, 5/15/2000. I was 11. Safe to say I did not watch that episode of Nitro. But the show kicks off with these weird vignettes which stop halfway through of David Arquette on the set of 3,000 Miles to Graceland. Which, if you listen to YouTube Roulette, we talked about watching that movie, the most recent one. So look for the November YouTube Roulette where we were talking about watching that. But we see Courtney Cox saying David isn't a wrestler. David says he's the heavyweight champion of the world. And then it stops. We see what happened on Thunder. And then we see a white car pulled in front of a limo. And the New Blood, and it's Russo, Jarrett, Awesome, Kim. And I couldn't see really who else got out of the limo. And DDP and Canyon and Arquette got out of the white car. They have a standoff. And then a muscle car ran to the limo. And it's Stone Cold Hogan. And everyone fights. Security then breaks everyone up. Security got their money worth tonight because this is not the last time we'll mention them. Pyro goes off, and we are in Birmingham, Alabama. We see the battle lines drawn, Logan. But one thing I don't like about these vignettes is like Arquette's acting like a badass in the vignettes, but then acting like a total pussy tonight. And it's just like two entirely different things. He's like saying I'm the world champion. We'll see later he's trying to get the title back, and it's just like, what the fuck are we doing then?
Yeah, I think he's just putting up a front for his old lady, but it definitely was kind of weird to kind of see him be so cocky and confident in one, and then obviously have no confidence in wanting to basically give away the belt and give away being the world champion on the other side. So definitely strange for sure. But it's Arquette. I'll let it go, I guess.
Yeah. So Tony's still hyping up David being the world champion. Then, instead of having like a big talking segment like we're grown accustomed to, we're getting a match, and that's match 1, which is Crowbar versus Norman Smiley, and I guess who's going to be his second in his match against Terry Funk. They never give this person a name. It's just someone in a mascot. It's a Birmingham, I guess their hockey team mascot. So the person comes out with Norman. They have like this big mascot on that, like they can't get in the ring because the head is so big on that he's wearing, and like he has to walk over the ring ropes like he's Kevin Nash. I don't think it's Kevin Nash, guys. I have no idea who it is. We'll find out, I guess, on Thunder or Slamboree. And so mascot can't get in the ring. Crowbar uses this to his advantage to attack Norman. Crowbar attacks the mystery partner and traps his head in the ropes, which I thought was pretty funny. It's where this person will be stuck basically the rest of the match. Norman is then sent to a corner, but he moves out of the way. And then Norman slams Crowbar into a trash can. Norman throws Crowbar over the top rope, but Crowbar skins the cat and head scissors Norman out of the ring. Crowbar throws Norman into the guardrail, and he grabs a trash can lid and hits the mascot with it. This allows Norman to attack Crowbar and throws him into some chairs he had set up. And then, like, Norman picks up a trash can lid, but Crowbar knocks the trash can lid in Norman's face, and then Crowbar hits Norman with it. Crowbar does a splash onto Norman from the ring apron. Norman was laying down on the outside. This gets a 2. The mascot is still stuck. Crowbar is in the ring and went for a suicide dive, but Norman hit Crowbar with the chair right in the dome. CTE all over this match, guys. Norman attempts to do the big wiggle, but Crowbar hits Norman in the nuts with the kendo stick. Then Crowbar sees the mascot still stuck and starts doing the big wiggle to the mascot. Then Norman hits Crowbar and does a 3-way big wiggle, as Tony calls it. Then both men hit each other with a crossbody when they're running at each other. The mystery partner gets unstuck. Crowbar blinds the mascot with his shirt and beats him with weapons. Then Norman slams Crowbar and then goes for a moonsault. Sorry. Norman crotches him, then hits like a super back suplex, but Crowbar floats over and reverses it to land on Norman. And then both men get up, and Norman, like, in this totally convoluted way, Norman trips over the mascot, but then Norman is able to then roll up Crowbar for the win. Just a shit match all around, like bullshit ending. Like, this mascot stuff sort of worked at the beginning, but it was still there. It didn't really work as the match progressed. Like, they had Crowbar doing all this crazy shit. Now he's jobbing for Norman Smiley and a mascot. Logan, what did you think, buddy?
See, I think this is going to be our first disagreement for the night. the poor damn mascot just couldn't get the damn head out of the ropes. It was like some kind of wolf with like a steel jaw. It had like a metal jaw for some reason. I don't know what team it was for. Like you said, I think it was probably the local hockey, like minor league hockey team or something like that. We've kind of poo-pooed on the hardcore matches for the most part, but I thought at least Crowbar busted out some pretty entertaining stuff and some cool moves throughout than your particular usual hardcore match. It got a lot of time for one of these matches as well, so I thought that was kind of encouraging. But I guess I may have liked it a little bit more because the commentary was just losing it over the fucking mascot not being able to get his head out of the ropes. Tony and crew were just making fun of him the whole time. And maybe me kind of paying attention to that and laughing my ass off that he couldn't get out of the ropes attributed something to me liking it a little bit more. But I thought it was a little bit more entertaining than our usual kind of hardcore affair. The finish was kind of janky and stupid, but I thought the match to that point was pretty solid.
This brings out the perfect dichotomy that we have, guys, because on Lucha, Logan does all the moves, and I'm always like, Logan, you didn't hear Stryker say something stupid or Vampiro just be checked out, and Logan's like, no, asshole, they did like a 360 plancha and a Van Terminator into a skateboard thing, and I'm like, don't, you made that move up, and now like he's like reverse Uno-ing me on this, and to be honest, I can see why he gets a little frustrated. Or Russo finally broke Logan.
Yeah,
it's the only other option.
A little A, a little B.
Yeah, so like, yeah, because I wasn't really listening to the announce team. Like I was listening there, but I was like trying to take down all my notes and everything. Oh, yeah. It's probably why it takes so long for me to watch these shows. But after this, we go to the announce table, and they talk about David being the WCW champ. Tony keeps saying we are day 5 of the David Arquette reign, like he's going to be a fucking year-long champ, or like a Roman Reigns type champ, 500 days or something. Mm-hmm. Tony says David Arquette has something to say tonight. Tony says this was a great moment in sports entertainment. I don't know about all that. But we see David, DDP, and Kanyon walking backstage. David tells DDP and Kanyon he shouldn't be world champ and wants to give back the title. And then we see Jeff, Kimberly, and Eric and Russo backstage walking. Then we cut again to see Lex and Rick show up. Lex says he's going to kill Russo. Flair says that's not a good idea. Then we cut again to see Courtney and David talking on the set of 3,000 Miles to Graceland. Courtney says this is dangerous. David said you got nothing to worry about. Kurt Russell shows up dressed up like fucking Elvis. And Courtney tells Kurt that David is world champ. Kurt just laughs and walks away. David picks up a chair and starts following him. Courtney screams out, David, you're not a wrestler. Commercial break. We're getting real backstage heavy tonight, Logan, and this will be a continue for the show. I do believe this is the last 3,000 Miles to Graceland video, but just a lot happened, and Russo loved taping people just walking backstage. Like, no talking, just walking to the ring.
Yeah, absolutely. Back to back, my notes are DDP, Arquette, and Kanyon shown walking. Jarrett and crew shown walking. Team package arriving and walking into the arena. And then, obviously, another Courtney Cox skit, this time with Kurt Russell. So that's 4 notes back to back. No real detail in that, but showing all your big players kind of showing up for the night, and they'll get involved throughout the night. Obviously, you were right. This is the last Courtney Cox skit. Very weird to see Kurt Russell on a 2000s episode of Nitro. Obviously, I think they probably could have gotten some celebrities or some pretty big celebrities a few years ago when they were still pretty hot. But seeing him show up at this point is quite strange. But I guess if you can get Courtney Cox at this point, nobody's out of the question.
Yeah, I mean, she was hot on Friends. They were all shooting that movie. I mean, it's pretty fucked up that like this is having the like. I don't want to watch Ready to Rumble, which I've watched a million times, but I really want to watch 3,000 Miles to Graceland. It might be a Saturday call. Watch Logan. I might actually turn a movie on for that instead of just playing video games, or watch it by myself.
Patreon episode.
So, yeah, it might be a Patreon episode. Yeah, it's but that's where we're at. But So come back from a commercial break, and we see the perfect one, Shawn Stasiak. Shawn says he's going to set the free throw record tonight because he's the perfect athlete. And then he says that he is absolutely perfect after he made a free throw and pointed at his abs. Now, I will say that vignette, they do this rest of the night. It'd been helpful if they would have had a counter in the bottom left hand of the screen so we can see how many he made for what happens later. Just type of WCW attention that, we never see.
Horrendous stroke on that basketball shot, by the way. Absolutely.
Oh, he has no form at all. No form at all.
There's no way. I mean, I assume they shot this in a way that they could air it, where they made sure he made like 2 or 3 in a row. They obviously didn't do it live because there's no way with that stroke that he ever made more than like 3 or 4 in a row.
Absolutely not.
I even think I don't remember which one it is, so I'm just going to say it now. There's one. It's one point where they kind of cut away and they don't show. They show him shoot it, but they don't show it land through the hoop or even like whether it went in or not. But he kind of reacts like he missed it. So I kind of think they kind of fucked up at one point and showed him missing one. But you don't physically see it miss, obviously. But he kind of reacts and goes like, "Oh no!" I mean, he didn't say anything, but he kind of gives you a face where you would assume that he maybe missed it.
Yeah, and when I'm hits the rim, and I'm like, yeah, that thing is out, and it's just so. I mean, it's pretty good. They're doing what they need to do with this. It's just that Shawn Stasiak sucks. So, yeah.
Very bad.
So, we've talked more about Shawn Stasiak than anyone's talked about Shawn Stasiak in 15 years, and we'll talk about him more. So then we got David Arquette, DDP, and Canyon. They all come out. David Arquette says Birmingham, the hometown of my wife, and they cheer. David says this is a dream come true for him. The fans have been incredible. Says he's an entertainer, but not a sports entertainer. David says he's going to relinquish the title. He doesn't deserve it. Says these guys deserve the belt, and name drops Booker T included in that, which I thought was pretty dope. He's going to hold it up for the main event for Slamboree between DDP and Jeff Jarrett. Jeff music hits, and out comes Jeff, Kimberly, Eric, Russo, Liz, and security. Russo has Liz on one of those kid leash type things. It's really disturbing, especially what he says to her tonight. I know it's 2000, but goddamn, dude. Jeff says, who dies, straight up says, who dies, not even who died, and made you Commissioner Slappy. Says, you don't make the rules around here, we do. Jeff says, you decided to cross that line and step in the ring and be a sports entertainer. Jeff says, that's how you'll be treated. Eric says, you are right, you should have never stepped in the ring, and says he's the champ, like it or not, and says to act like one. Eric said at the request of Jarrett at Slamboree, it's going to be a triple dance. He meant triple threat or a three-way dance. He just said triple dance with David, Jeff, and DD Puke. And then when this happens, the total package runs down and chases after Russo and Liz. Russo drags Liz and they bail through the crowd. And then Eric says, whoa. And then he says, David needs a tune-up before Slamboree. Eric says that David will face Tank Abbott tonight. Tank's music hits and he comes out. DDP says, kill the music monkey, and says, Bischoff, you don't have to work at being an asshole, do you? It comes natural. DDP says, Arquette ain't getting in the ring with Abbott. Abbott says, stay out of the business. DDP says, shut me up, and they start fighting. And then Jeff and Canyon start fighting. David and Eric start fighting. And DDP and Tank are fighting. Security breaks it up. Tony says it's Bischoff and Russo security, so they just break up the good guys. Abbott says we're going to do this tonight. Abbott says if DDP wins, David gets off easy, and if DDP loses, then David Arquette will die. And I thought we were doing Abbott versus Goldberg, not even mentioned tonight at all. But yeah, just the crazy segment. I did sort of like Luger running in to add he wasn't waiting for Russo, so that added a little bit more craziness to that segment. All over the place. I don't know why Jeff wouldn't be just hold the title up. I'll have a 50-50 shot of winning instead of a 33% chance of winning. Just hold up the title, but we got to get David Arquette there somehow. Looks like our main event tonight is going to be Tank Abbott versus David Arquette, which imagine saying that at the start of 2000. It doesn't say if it's for the world title. It sounds like it's just a tune-up match, and we're getting DDP and Tank Abbott as well tonight. just a crazy angle. The Liz stuff is really uncomfortable, Logan. Like I said, we'll talk about that more later. But yeah, the main event. But like, and then you have Jeff and Canyon fighting, and it feels like this is elevated Canyon more than anything, and it feels like a Jeff versus Canyon feud because like it's not Jeff attacking DDP. Just it's just weird.
I mean, who better? Nobody. But yeah, Arquette obviously wants to try to relinquish the title. He knows he's not a wrestler, doesn't deserve to have the title. It's been fun, but he wants to put it up in the triple cage between the two wrestlers that should be fighting over at DDP and Jarrett. So commendable by him, but obviously Jarrett and Bischoff will have no part of that, like you said. And Arquette will be in the triple cage with them as well. I also like the Luger run in the middle of the promo, and how Russo kind of escapes and keeps kind of Liz with him, despite Luger coming out of House of Fire pretty much. Tank and Arquette, hell of a match on paper. So we'll see how maybe that one goes later if we get to that. DDP tries to jump in, like you said. We have a huge brawl. And then Tank threatens murder on Arquette. So the cops that arrest a couple of people later really should have been out there arresting Tank Abbott because he threatened to kill somebody. So that's just, I mean, he was straight up about it and said he was going to decapitate fucking Arquette. So Tank is officially absolutely insane, if that was not already easy to tell.
I mean, he's been knocking out people the whole time here, and we've enjoyed it. But like, yeah, now he's threatening mass murder. So we go to commercial break after that. I also needed to drink something during that. That was a lot of talking. We see that Stasiak's still shooting free throws. He supposedly keeps making them with that awful form. Then we see Hugh Morris with Eric Bischoff. Eric Bischoff calls himself the Newt Rockne of wrestling, which is a famous football coach known for his speeches. He was a Notre Dame head coach, so all that bullshit. But he's famous for his speeches, which he died in 1931, so that's a real topical wrestling for 2000 WCW. And he says that Hugh will learn about teamwork tonight. Eric says tonight it'll be Jeff, Hugh, and Scott Steiner in a three-way dance, and if any misfits in action interfere, they will be fired. So way to really have your main event guy in this no middle of the card fucking triple threat match. But Russo, bro.
Yeah, definitely weird. Very weird booking for sure. But I mean, obviously it's leading to a little bit of something that we'll talk about later.
Yep. Match 2, Logan. It's the Wall versus Horace Hogan in a table match. Our boy Wall has fallen so much he gets a job wrench now. Horace has shit music. He should have just came out to Hulk Hogan's music like he did on Thunder. But he comes out to some generic shit rock music. They battle in the aisleway. Horace throws Wall into a guardrail. Wall gets a knee to Horace's gut, and he throws Horace in the ring. Wall goes up top, but Horace crotches his Wall and then hits a hanging DDT. Horace then hits a Death Valley driver on Wall. Miss Hancock comes out again. Madden says Snoochie's Boochies. He just got done watching Jay and Silent Bob. Horace throws a table in the ring. Horace sets up the table and tries to slam Wall through the table, but then Kidman runs down and Horace beats his ass and throws him outside the ring, but then he turns into Wall, getting a big boot on Horace, then choke slams him through the table. Kidman and Wall then beat down Horace. Hulk Hogan's music hits. Kidman looks scared. Wall actually shows that he has some balls and says, "Bring it." Kidman and Wall bail when Hogan comes down. Mike Awesome then attacks Hogan and then beats down all three Awesome attacks Hogan, then Hogan's able to beat down all three men before the numbers take over. Wall puts another table in the ring. Kidman and Wall were holding Hogan on the table, but Hogan fought him off and started beating down Awesome. Kidman then hits Hogan when Hogan was up there. Like they were on the top rope. I thought Hogan was going to suplex Awesome through the table, which would have been, not going to lie, Logan, pretty awesome. But Kidman distracts Hogan by hitting him in the back. Austin hits a sunset flip over Hogan and then power bombs him through the table. Just craziness all over the place here. Shocked Hogan went through a table again. They make Kidman look like a bitch again, which is a reoccurring theme tonight, which makes me feel great for their match. Makes me really think he can beat Hogan at Slamboree when Kidman's even fucking horse Hogan's bitch. Mike Austin surprisingly looking strong still, which I do like. Our boy Wall is just jobber food since Sid's out. Just pretty sad. This was a no-nothing match, Logan.
Yeah, it makes me feel like Sid probably would have squashed him pretty easy if he had hung around as well. So, but yeah, Wall basically, yeah, like you said, complete downward spiral from him. He seemed like he was going to be a main event kind of character before all this new blood Millionaires Club stuff, but his downward spiral continues. Like I said, gets absolutely dominated by Horace in this match until Kidman comes out and helps him win. And then Hogan comes out after. I'm glad Awesome seems to keep getting the upper hand on Hogan. Hogan pretty much beats all three of their asses up for a little bit, but he does eventually get the powerbomb through the table, like you said. So good to see Awesome kind of come out on top of Hogan here, despite the fact that Kidman and Wall do not whatsoever.
Yeah. It's just like, Jesus Christ, man. Like, what are we doing? Speaking of what are we doing, Logan, did you like this next segment that we're about to talk about?
I couldn't understand him, so no.
Okay, thanks. So we see Vampiro at a graveyard, and he says, "You smell that? You feel that? Can you taste it? Do you want it?" And says, "Sting, this is my dream. This is our dream. This is my home. Sting, will you come and play? I know you will. I know you want to. Come on, Sting. Curiosity killed the scorpion." And it was shot in this grainy fucking footage, like it was me trying to watch porn on a channel I didn't fucking have. Channel 98 for people that lived in Central Virginia in the mid 2000s. That's what was shot. Looked like it was shot through, like the shitty grainy thing. Him talking nonsense. It's like they're trying to add, like, he's trying to, like, feels like he's trying to turn like Vampiro and Sting into like Undertaker and Kane. And we're gonna see that a whole lot more, Logan. This is sort of what it feels like to me with like the supernatural shit with both of them. Do you agree with that? Or am I just losing my mind?
Yeah, kind of Undertaker Kane, Undertaker Mankind. Definitely got that vibe for sure. And honestly looked like a deer hunting camera, like you would set up your cam out in the woods so you would kind of know who's what kind of deer, whatever you're kind of hunting is coming on your land and kind of poking up. That's the kind of footage-ish kind of situation I felt like they were showing. It was real grainy, like you said. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I barely understood even what he said. I'm more power to you that you were able to, figure out what he was saying, because I definitely didn't get any of the shit that you wrote down, because it just sounded real foggy and I just couldn't understand what he was saying. But yeah, definitely weird. And we'll see later, like Vamp does all these promos, but he has not looked good in any of the like fights that they've had up until this point.
They should have kept them together. They were working great as a tag team from what we saw, the little that we did see. Vampiro seemed to be getting over. We saw that Kidman match as well. And it's just like, what the, like, it's so dumb. Speaking of that, Logan, you're from the country, so am I. You ever been hunting?
I have not, actually, no.
Me neither. My dad loves hunting. I'm like the biggest disappointment to him ever because I don't enjoy any of that shit.
My dad got into that kind of stuff later in life, and my brothers never really did it, so it just wasn't something I was exposed to, really.
Yeah, I was just never into it.
I mean, obviously, I went to school with a bunch of people that did it, but none of my real good friends ever really did it or like invited me to do it. So I just I've only really ever fished like once or twice either. So I'm real unsouthern for being from Mississippi.
Yeah, I fished a bunch, but that's because like I lived like on a lake, and like my grandmother lived on like we would just go over there and fish like on the bank. But yeah, my last name for any listeners in the Central Virginia area is synonymous with like country and like redneck, and I'm decidedly not like that, Logan. So
Yeah, definitely not.
a lot of people, yeah, a lot of people, but yeah. So anyway, back to the show. We have a commercial break after that. Then we see Russo comes out dragging Liz on her leash again, and Russo says, "Lex, I'm gonna make this short and sweet." Tells Liz to know her place. Real sexist commentary. Russo says he's calling out Lex tonight in the ring, and that he will rack his ass. He then drags Liz away again. See the announcers again. They talk about what happened. What's happened tonight. Jeff Jarrett's music hits. This leads us to match 3, which is Jeff Jarrett versus Scott Steiner versus Hugh Morris. One of these are not like the other, Logan.
Yeah, definitely not.
So Tony announces that we're going to have a graveyard match tonight with Vampiro and Sting, despite them meeting in 6 days at the pay-per-view. So we got gimmick match galore tonight. We've already had a tag match, triple threat, a match coming up where if one wrestler wins, there's no match. If another wrestler wins, the dude's going to die, by his words. Yeah. So when Scott watches out with his freaks, he takes a sign from a fan and then rips up another one. Scott gets on the mic and says, "I don't want to see any more signs that look like this." And the sign that he held up says, "Big Papa Pump sucks." Scott says he's going to continue doing what he does best. And that's kicking white trash trailer park trash ass. Man, fucking linguistic legend.
Gotta love him.
And then Scott says the best. Yeah, and then he finishes by saying the best time he's had in Alabama was when he left it, which Tony says, "Well, you're here now," which made me laugh. Hugh Morris comes down, and Madden says that Scott was already in a 3-way dance backstage tonight, which Madden hitting again. He did hit. Yeah. And as soon as Hugh gets in the ring, he's jumped by Scott and Jeff. They beat him down and hit a double elbow. I have a note here. Shouldn't Scott hate Jeff? Because he should be world champ. But then they hit a double clothesline. Scott throws Hugh in a corner and beats him down. Jeff taunts by getting on the ropes. Scott hits his belly to belly. Scott does a push-up, and Jeff tries to pin Hugh. This gets 2, and it pisses off Scott. But then they continue beating down Hugh. When Jeff finally goes for the stroke on Hugh, Scott decides he's going to beat down Jeff. This allows Hugh to get some offense. He takes down both men, but only misses with the no laughing matter on Jeff. Jeff rolls out of the ring, and Scott's unable to get the Steiner recliner on Hugh, but Jeff then grabs a guitar and hits Scott with it. Jeff leaves the ring, and like Hugh falls back and has his arm on Scott, and that's how Hugh wins. The Misfits come down and celebrate. Just a real nothing match. Like we get more of like Hugh somehow defying the odds here, even though they never really declared it. We get more Jeff and Scott. Like, will they have a feud coming up? Because like Jeff screwed him out of the world title by telling Booker, and then like we see this happening, and like Scott wants to beat his ass. So it's like, what's going to happen?
Yeah, obviously they're going to try to continue to push tension between Steiner and Jarrett. Obviously, they're seemingly the two alphas of the new blood. Obviously, all the other people in the new blood are getting their ass kicked. Obviously, Jarrett also has lost his world title in the span of this storyline so far. But he's been presented as a main eventer and somebody that can hang with pretty much anybody at the top of the card. He may lose to DDP here or there, or obviously Arquette at certain points. But yeah, him and Steiner seem to be kind of the alphas. Steiner's kind of a loose cannon at this point. Will say and do anything he kind of wants. He's not really following anybody's lead or anything like that. So obviously Jarrett didn't like how Steiner was kind of doing stuff throughout the match, so he bashes him with the guitar, and Morris gets the big win. But yeah, kind of confusing. I've said this kind of throughout the storyline so far. I think there are a certain number of people that, despite maybe they've never been world champion before, kind of need to exist outside of the new blood, but kind of be new blood, but kind of exist out of it at the same time. Your Steiners, your Booker T's, maybe even Canyon to a little bit of a point. obviously he's kind of with DDP right now, so he's Millionaires Club adjacent. But like that's kind of what I mean. He needs to kind of exist out of each group because those are the three kind of up and coming bigger stars that I think could be big for them going forward. But yeah, definitely weird that they seem to kind of push Steiner with the new blood, but he seems to kind of exist in his own little pocket.
Yeah, like because we saw him even attack Sting last week with the blood, so it's like okay. Speaking of Sting, we see him at the graveyard walking around. Tony says when we go back, it will be the graveyard match. We have a commercial break. We see Eric with all the Misfits in action, which is Chavo, Van Hammer. Oh my God, Lash LaRue. Am I missing anyone else?
I think it was only 4 of them. So if you've named 4 people, then yes.
Yeah, and he fires them all. I don't know why, because they didn't interfere, but they've been fired. And we see Russo getting ready, and Liz says that Russo discussed her. And then we go to match 4, which is this graveyard match, guys. It's going to be real weird me trying to discuss this, but here we go. Sting is walking around looking for Vampiro, but we see that Vampiro is stalking Sting. Sting sees Vampiro and chases after him, but like Vampiro is able to get away. I said this is like a shitty horror movie. Sting hops over a ledge, and then we see that Vampiro was hanging by the ledge, and he attacks Sting with a shovel. It's shot in black and white. Vampiro is just beating down Sting with a shovel. He breaks the shovel handle over Sting. Vampiro then picks up a full fucking headstone and hits Sting in the head with it, with the headstone, and Sting falls into his own grave. Vampiro says that he is the monster that Sting should have been and walks away. Vampiro wins. Then, not even 30 seconds later, we see Sting starting to crawl out of the grave. Yeah. That's it, Logan. That's like that awkward silence. That's all I got because like my brain momentarily froze right there, having to relive that as yeah, just what are we doing? Like this is god awful on all accounts.
This is straight. I mean, obviously Sting doesn't get actually buried; he just kind of gets knocked into the hole. But this is straight out of the Undertaker getting buried alive, and then the hand sticking out right afterwards. So he recovers a little too quick from the tombstone shot. I will say, I did like Scott Hudson saying, "Oh, I've heard of a tombstone pile driver, but I've never seen somebody actually get hit with a tombstone." I thought that was a pretty good line by old Mr. Hudson, but yeah, just absurd. Vampiro's kind of this is kind of his character. He kind of looms in the shadows and jumps people like this. So, but yeah, just a very strange segment. But it made Vamp look strong, something that they haven't done so far. So, I'll give them that.
Well,
yeah,
we'll see.
I said that. For now.
Yeah. So we go to commercial break. We see what just happened for some ungodly reason. And then we see Flair saying he'll watch Luger's back tonight. Then we go to match 5, which is DDP versus Tank Abbott. Both men come out. Match starts and they face each other. They start trading punches. Tank takes down DDP with punches. Tank leaves the ring, but DDP gets back up. And then we see Eric Kim watching, and Eric's laughing. Tank throws DDP out of the ring. DDP reverses an Irish whip into the guardrail, and we see that Kanyon and David Arquette are locked in their room. They can't go out to the arena. DDP and Tank fight through the crowd. DDP hits Tank with the trash can. DDP throws Tank back to ringside, and then when DDP gets over the guardrail, we see that a fan hits DDP with like a glass. Like I didn't realize until I showed the replay, but then we see that the fan is Jeff Jarrett. Fans sort of look like Buff Bagwell when Jeff had the hat on. I thought it was Buff that hit him. Mm-hmm. So DDP is knocked out. Tank wins, says that Jeff, and we see that Jeff hit DDP with a bottle. Like I said, it wasn't really shown. David's freaking out because Tank won. And then we see how that's what just happened, that DDP is knocked out. This was just very quick. I will say they sort of made Tank look like a badass just with him like whooping DDP's ass with the punches. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, kind of put over Tank. I mean, he's obviously a real badass. He can fight, and he can knock people out with his hands. Obviously, he showed that uh, to some success in the octagon. I won't say he was the absolute best fighter. He was more of a, just a brawler that if you kind of took him down, he was pretty useless. But if you stood up and threw bombs with him, he was pretty effective. But pretty easily takes DDP down early. Was kind of shocked by how quickly and easily he kind of knocked him out, or knocked him down. And had him kind of, groveling and holding his chronically injured ribs from getting punched there pretty early. No shock. DDP's kind of one of those that's like Jeff Jarrett. He always goes to the outside, always battles around the crowd. So he definitely has been fighting Jarrett too much lately, but he also kind of does that a lot too, just naturally. So, but he's a little bit more effective with him than Jarrett is, I'll say. But like you said, Jarrett comes in and hits him with obviously a bottle or some kind of glass that shatters over his head. Referee doesn't see it, and then Tank technically wins by knockout. So, put Tank over pretty good. As we'll see, DDP kind of is hurting more than we realize, and ends up going to the hospital for a little bit. But yeah, pretty solid putting over of Tank, even though he kind of won, via a little bit of cheating.
Yeah. I mean, he did lay him out at the start, which I thought was pretty cool. So, as Logan said, we see DP being loaded up his stretcher. Kenyon and David both look concerned. And then we pan to Mike Awesome and Hogan fighting backstage in the locker room. Kidman walks out in a New Blood t-shirt, which looks like shit. Kidman gets on the mic and says a thank you will be nice. Thanks, Billy, for wiping Hogan's ass with him. Thanks, Billy, for taking his nothing having nephew and beating him. Thanks, Billy, for telling us what New Blood is all about. Billy says New Blood is about taking these so-called heroes, and he literally loses his train of thought here, Logan. And you see him pivot, and he said he's the future, and he says he's the future and Kingpin of New Blood. And then he remembers that he was talking about that these heroes are trash. Kidman says Hogan at Slamboree, when Bischoff counts the 1, 2, 3, I'm gonna finish you off again. Kidman issues an open challenge for tonight. We pan backstage to Kevin Nash talking to Terry Taylor, and Terry tells him what he's been saying, talking about the heroes like Kevin Nash and Hogan. Kev asks which way to the arena, and Terry tells him, which made me laugh. And then you hear Kidman saying, I hope Hogan's wife is here too. I'll beat her ass. Kidman says, any takers? And then the Wolfpack music hits, and out comes Big Sexy. Nash gets in the ring, and Billy attacks him immediately. But Nash then hits him with his knee and throws him in the corner and runs his knee into Billy, then hits Kidman with elbows. Nash then does a giant hip toss to Billy. Kidman begs off, but Nash... Yeah, it was amazing. He caught some air on that one. Nash chokes Billy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was I was like, I don't really know what to call this, Logan, when I was writing down my notes, and I was like, I'll just say a giant hip toss, because that's pretty much what the fuck it was. It was I'm sure it's what it's like if you're playing with your nephews or nieces or your little brother when you was younger and you're throwing him in the pool. That's what that fucking throw was like. If you just imagine that, that's what the throw was like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then Nash is choking Billy with his foot, and we both know, everyone knows someone's coming out. Those people are Conan and Rey Mysterio attack Kevin Nash, that no good father Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio has full blonde hair like he's Slim Shady. Scott Hudson says Conan and Rey don't work for us, that they're free agents. But Nash will beat anyone down that gets in the ring. I guess they had asked for their release. Who knows, Logan? Or their, I think Conan did when all that shit happened in January, but he was, So I don't know if it was ever given, though.
They kind of somewhat left too, but not really.
Yeah, they did a quiet quitting. But then Nash then beats all of them down. He hits side suplexes on all of them. He fucking kills Rey with a big boot like it was 1996 all over again. Kidman then goes to powerbomb Nash goes to powerbomb Kidman, but Conan distracts him and all three bail. Way to make Billy look like a fucking joke again, guys. He's like... it's fine to be a heel and a shit talking heel and a cowardly heel, but when the cowardly heel constantly gets his ass fucking beat, and legitimately in 6 days he's wrestling one of the biggest wrestlers of all time, Hulk Hogan, love him or hate him. He helped put wrestling on the map and on a nationwide stage.
Mhm.
It's fucking so. It's like shit booking. That's exactly what it is. It's just shit booking. Like you make Billy, if you're want to do this, use like Shawn Stasiak or something like the way WWF used Shawn Stasiak in 2000 when he was like a moron with Planet Stasiak and calling out Rock and all those wrestlers. You remember that?
Mhm. Yeah. He was
Yeah.
a fucking idiot. Um, but yeah, this is this show is the complete burial of Kidman. Hogan kicks his ass, and he can even come out and kind of beat. Nash is obviously way bigger than he is. Nash can even come out and beat him down. But once Conan and Ray kind of get in there, it needs to be like a triple team beat down, and they need to get the advantage, end up standing on top. But once they come out, Nash just kicks their ass too. So Nash just completely squashes all three of these guys all at once. So if you wanted to kind of build the former filthy animals, I don't know if we're going to call them that going forward, or if they're even going to be semi-associated with each other, other than kind of being new blood. Um, yeah, like this completely squashes any momentum that they would have had coming back. And obviously Kidman just a bad night all around for the poor bastard. And yeah, we're supposed to just believe that fucking Kidman has any chance of beating Hogan or even hanging with him or even or doing anything but sneaking out like a shitty victory because Bischoff's the Bischoff's the referee. So yeah, I mean, I mean, Hogan, like you said, is the reason that WCW was ever as high as they were. You know, just based off his star power and obviously getting into the NWO and doing the whole heel turn and getting it to the point where they were. Um, but you never really thought Kidman was going to beat him, but you gotta make him look strong on the way there, or if you're not, you need to surround him with a group or some people that can kind of help him out when he's in there with somebody obviously much larger than he is.
I mean, they were sort of doing it with having Awesome be his heater, but it
Yeah.
seems like the bigger feud now is between fucking Hogan as Awesome, as we'll see later tonight, even with the past week. And it's like, just have Awesome be his heater. Like,
Mm,
that's it. It's fucking
yep.
simple as that. You could have Candido do this now or something, or the cat. The cat would have been perfect. What's one of you Hicks want to come out, WCW Hicks want to come out and fight me? There's no reason
Mm.
for Kidman right here.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
But it
Uh,
gets
bad.
it gets be- it gets better, Logan, because we see Nash is running after Conan and Ray, and then we go backstage where Conan and Ray run away. Ray trips like he's a fucking blonde dumb bitch in a horror movie, and then he gets back up. They go get into a lowrider and leave, but a car literally stops them. They have nowhere to go. Nash catches up with them. We go to commercial break. When we get back, we see that Ray is down and Nash is beating up Conan, and we're told that Nash beat the shit out of Ray. And we're not done seeing Nash tonight, but like, just it's like Russo's all of his bad ideas that like I just read about, and it's like there's no filter, there's no editor here to be like, no, we can't have all this shit. Like, we're already burnt out from like there was a car crash literally at the start of the show, and now we're doing more stuff with cars, and we're having security so much, and we're gonna have people arrested soon, and it's like fucking three different people being arrested tonight, and it's like an ambulance comes later. It's like, and this is just 120 minutes of wrestling, Logan.
Yeah. A lot of shit happens on these couple of shows, or this show specifically. Obviously, with Russo, he tries to throw as much shit at the wall as he can. Obviously, on pretty much any show he books. And some of it's good, some of it's bad. I've enjoyed some of the beatdowns throughout tonight, whether I agree with the booking part of them or not. But yeah, it's a lot happening, and you know, maybe more of it's good than it usually is, but a lot of it's still pretty bad.
Oh, it's bad. It's bad. I know you enjoyed this. I'm sorry, but yeah, we're back to the Russo show, guys, because he comes out with Liz. Russo calls out Flair and says he will interfere at Slamboree and looking forward to 5 minutes of kicking Flair's ass. Russo says for Lex, you beat me tonight. I give you the key for Liz. And then Russo turns to Liz and says, do your job. Do your job, Liz. Do me, baby. Just fucking disgusting. Liz says you are from New York, can understand this, and says kiss my Kentucky ass. Madden says, "Oh, I can see why they never let her talk. She talks. She cusses like a sailor." Russo screams, "Bring it!" Out comes Lex and Flair. But when they're walking out, Lex gets in front of Flair. Buff and Shane attack Flair. Then all of security comes and surrounds Russo and attacks Lex. Lex fights them off. Lex takes him down, but is then dogpiled by security. Flair is down, and they mace Luger, and then Luger is handcuffed. Buff and Shane then beat down Lex. Shane headbutts Lex in the nuts. Buff hits a reverse DDT on Lex. Somehow during this, like Russo, like a moron, gives Liz the bat for some reason. And it says, hit him, hit Lex. So she fucking hits Russo, then takes off herself. And then during this, Chronic comes down and fights security. Chronic beats down all the security. Buff, Russo, and Shane leave. Then the cops come in and threaten Chronic. They mace Chronic too and arrest them. Just a lot there. And like, I like the add in a Chronic. Like they want the tag match, which I thought was nice because it seems like Buff and Shane have won the tag titles and immediately fucking forgot about being tag champs outside of just facing Chronic a couple of times. Flair, after having that great promo on Thunder, barely been there tonight. He's like the fucking extra friend that you see. Only a couple lines, but like, and he got beaten up early and wasn't really there, Logan.
Yeah, he did hype up Luger in the backstage earlier, but pretty much he gets floored pretty quick in this one. But see, something like this I enjoyed a lot. The brawl, Chronic coming in and just absolutely just housing fucking security and just destroying them. And beating up Buff and Shane a little bit in there too, but they just destroy a bunch of security guards. So I did like this Chronic coming in and cleaning house pretty good. I loved that the cops came out and seemingly maced them, and obviously the commentary oversells it and starts coughing and going, "Oh, that stuff is strong," and you know. But I thought Chronic looked really, really good here, despite maybe the people who are actually actually facing the tag champs at the pay-per-view might not have looked so good in at the same time.
Yeah. Just like, I love that it seems like everyone has something going on, but like, you need to just focus on a couple people. Like, I don't think a lot of people care about fucking Brian Clark and Brian Adams. I know I sure as fuck don't. I know they got a big fucking push coming this summer, Logan. So,
well, I'll go fuck myself, Schiff. I'm just kidding.
I know they suck. So we go backstage. We see David Arquette's freaking out. Canyon says he'll figure this out for him. We have a commercial break. We still see that Kevin Nash is destroying the lowrider. Conan is knocked out in the front seat. They said that Rey Mysterio is trying to hide under a car while this is happening. And then while we see that, we see Lex and Chronic being led to the cop cars. Russo's talking shit to him. Just insane. Tony Lynn drops that Hogan will face Mike Austin tonight. We have like 20 minutes left, guys. And we still have like the Tank Abbott match and they're doing all this stuff. Vampiro's music hits and he comes out and he says, tonight the hunter has become the hunted. The predator has become the prey. He says Sting is a helpless newborn baby now. Vampiro says he is Sting's anti-hero. Vampiro says he is the freak and monster that Sting should have been. He says, tonight Sting found out I am the one and only darkness. Then the lights flicker and Sting's music hits. Then there's a crow on the Nitro vision. Sting then comes down from the rafters and beats the ever-loving shit out of Vampiro with the bat for like 2 or 3 minutes, like around the ring. And then at one point he leaves the ring, then comes back and beats his ass with the fucking bat some more. And then the lights flicker and Sting walks off. So after you left Sting for dead 30, 45 minutes ago, this motherfucker not only rose from the grave, was like, you know what? I'm gonna beat the brakes off you with this fucking bat, and just made Vampiro's bitch. So whatever heat Vampiro had, poof, gone, gone, gone. You know,
Yeah. Like I said
just
earlier, yeah. Vamp, again, kind of does a rambling promo. Obviously kind of says he's like the new face of, not death, but the new face of darkness or whatever. Um, but yeah, Sting comes in and absolutely beats his ass with the bat. So like you said, anything that you made Vampiro look good earlier, um, you kind of just immediately erased here. I did enjoy the beatdown. So I think that's more of what's happening in this episode. I don't necessarily think it's good. I just think the beatdowns were pretty solid in their execution. Whether the booking around it was a good idea or not is a different story, obviously. But um, yeah, uh, middling or just kind of a mid promo followed by an absolute ass kicking by Sting.
yeah, it's just like I said, and like they're doing like the lights flickering and like Sting's supposed to be like Undertaker. They're clearly not. I don't know how that ever happened, but whatever. Um, and then we see Tank Abbott walking backstage, and we see Canyon and David Arquette. We see that Shawn is still shooting free throws, and Shawn tells the girl he always takes it to the hole, fucking, and he just keeps making free throws. Then we see Russo in the women's locker room yelling at Liz, saying, "Don't ever disrespect me ever again." Liz slaps him and says, "You don't own me." This feels like a kink shame thing, that a kink that he has of being like just beat by Liz.
Yeah.
Logan.
Yeah, he definitely looks like a big old bitch just getting slapped and then just walks away. But yeah, I think he's definitely got a like a dom kink for sure. Like he likes being beat around and
Yeah,
slapped around and stuff.
yeah, it's something. But this leads us to match 6 and Tank Abbott versus David Arquette. Um, David jumps on Tank's back and Tank slams him into a corner. We see Eric, Jeff, and Kimberly watching. Tank picks up David and slams him. Tank walks around taunting everyone, and then David then gets up and he tries to like run in and hit a shoulder block on Tank, but he just falls down. And then we see an ambulance come back and DDP gets out. He was driving it. And then we come back and we see that looks like Tank just took down David Arquette again, I guess. Tank pushes the ref out of the ring, and Billy Silverman takes the worst bump ever, Logan, where he pushes him
He
like
really
he's
does.
in the bottom left hand corner of the screen. If you're watching the show, he pushes him in the bottom left hand corner of the ring. He somehow falls out of the top left hand corner. It was fucking horrible. DDP music hits and Tank's watching. Eric says to Jeff to go get DDP. And by the time they get back to the ring, DDP's already hit the fucking diamond cutter.
Mm-hmm.
He puts David on Tank and he throws the ref in. The ref counts 3. And then we see DDP carrying David like fireman carry style and down the aisle. And then they were like, oh, fuck, we missed that. We see the replay of the diamond cutter. And then we see the reason that Jeff Jarrett never made it out. It's because Scott Steiner jumped him and beat down Jeff. Logan, this was just a clusterfuck of a match. I would have been really upset if this was the main event. Thank God it's not, but it was just really bad.
Yeah, I'm definitely glad this isn't in the show. Yeah, some bad production mistakes, obviously, like you said. But yeah, obviously, yeah. You mentioned earlier you weren't sure if it was for the title or not. The description of the episode on Peacock made it seem like it was for the title, but I'm not sure. But either way, Arquette wasn't losing. They're not going to lose the. Obviously, like you said last time, he doesn't bring any new buys to the pay-per-view, but they weren't going to lose the opportunity to maybe have him on the show and bring in a few more people. But yeah, just a clusterfuck of a match. Tank obviously could have beat him way more than he did. He does slam him a couple of times, but obviously it's just a setup for DDP to come out there and help Arquette end up getting the victory. But again, like you said, really glad we didn't finish with this because this was just kind of a mess and not all that entertaining and seemingly kind of a little bit of a waste of time as we have 2 guys out there that aren't trained wrestlers, which is never a good idea.
It's It's so bad. And then we go backstage for Shawn Staisak, and he's about to break the free throw record. He goes to shoot the free throw that would break the record, and Kurt Hennig attacks him. So no record for him. Please just let this feud end. This leads us to the main event tonight. Hulk Hogan or FUNB Terry Bollea versus Mike Awesome. They literally call him both names during the match. I called him Terry Bollea once, but then I changed it to Hogan. So I'm just gonna call him Hulk Hogan, but he's like wearing an FUNB on his jean jacket, and he has his taking care of business, like it's the fucking 80s on the front of his jean jacket, but it says taking care of Balea. And he says it's me and Horace now, and FUNB on his vest. Scott Hudson says he's Terry Bollea now, but then they keep calling him Hogan. I don't know. But Awesome runs to the ring and they battle. They trade punches. Hogan hits Awesome in the nuts. They trade more punches. Awesome throws Hogan in the ropes and hits a clothesline. Hogan leaves the ring and Awesome attacks him in the aisle. Awesome's just straight up beating down Hogan. Awesome throws Hogan back in the ring, and he goes up top and hits a flying clothesline. This gets 2. Hogan rolls out of the ring, and he grabs Awesome by his feet and drags him out of the ring. Hogan grabs a chair and just beats down Awesome with it. He throws Awesome into the guardrail and then throws him into another guardrail, and Hogan starts whipping Awesome with his weightlifting belt. Hogan is choking Awesome with the belt, and he punches him. This allows Awesome to block a punch, and he's able to get the belt, and he starts whipping Hogan himself. Awesome chokes Hogan with it and then whips him with the belt. Awesome tried to throw Hogan back in the ring, but he reversed it and throws Awesome into the steps. Hogan hits like a side suplex and starts choking Awesome. Hogan then drops Awesome nut first on the guardrail. When Awesome gets off the guardrail, he grabs a chair and hits Hogan with it between 5 and 6 times. Awesome rolls Hogan back in the ring. And Awesome catapults himself into the ring for a splash. This gets 2. But then Hogan like mini hulks up and he starts punching Awesome. He clotheslines Awesome into the corner twice. Hogan gets a big boot, and then Kidman slides in the ring and is about to hit Hogan with the chair. But of course, Kidman can't do nothing right. He gets kicked in the nuts, and Hogan hits him with the chair. Hogan goes on the outside, and he's back to fighting Awesome, who had rolled out of the ring. Eric, for some reason, distracts the ref, despite the ref allowing all this shit to happen. And this allows Kidman to go up top, and he jumps from the top turnbuckle to the outside of the ring, and he hits Hogan in the head with a chair from the top rope. They throw Hogan in the ring. You can actually see Hogan blade if you're paying attention. I'm not even that much of a person who pays attention, but you can literally see him blade. That's how bad it was. They throw Hogan back in the ring. He's bleeding. Awesome pins him, and that's how he wins. Awesome and Billy celebrate their win. Hogan rolls out of the ring and grabs the chair and beats down both men. And then a fan in a Sting mask hits the ring, and he takes off the Sting mask. I thought it was Shane Helms. It kind of looked like Shane Helms, Hogan, the fan.
Yeah, it kind of did a little bit, for sure.
Yeah, but then security gets him, and then the red liquid drops Hogan and takes him out. And the New Blood, which was Kidman, Buff, Shane, Wall, and Awesome, beat down Hogan, and that's how this Nitro before Slamboree ends. What'd you think of that match, buddy, while I catch my breath?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty solid, all things considered. Obviously, it's a 2000 Hogan match, so but Awesome is awesome at this point. I think, no pun intended, I think he's just really good. I think he's somebody, obviously, that we're going to go through the rest of this, and we're going to be real disappointed at his trajectory. It seems to be on the way up here, but at some point, obviously, I think it gets a little skewed, and he doesn't get used quite as well as I think they should. I think the real problem with this era of guys that they have right now, outside of maybe Steiner and a couple of other guys, is they have some really talented workers. You know, Kidman, I think, is a pretty talented worker. Awesome's a pretty talented worker. And just a lot of these new blood guys are really entertaining in-ring guys, but they just fucking can't cut a promo. I don't even think Vamp's all that bad in the ring either. I don't think he's particularly been given a lot to work with. But like, I just don't care what Vampiro says. And Kidman, obviously, isn't the strongest on the mic. Awesome is not the strongest on the mic either. But I think a lot of the problem is they wanted these guys that could cut these really awesome promos, but those are the guys that have been in the business for a long time. Your Flairs, your Hogans, your Stings. Obviously, some people like Steiner and Booker are pretty good promos, and they're kind of on the come up as well. But these people like Awesome, I think really could have been a great star from them, but he just fucking can't cut a promo to save his life. So I think that was what's kind of ends up hindering him. But and a couple of these younger guys like Canyon probably is not the best promo either. So he's another guy that kind of gets pushed down a little bit, despite the fact that he's probably one of the more talented guys on the roster. But all things considered, I thought the match was pretty solid between these two guys. And Awesome looked, again, no pun intended, awesome once again.
Yeah, I really thought the Awesome dropping of the ball was going to be immediate, but a month in and it hasn't been. We know it's coming, sadly. Yeah, he would have been good if like Russo, or not even Russo, but Bischoff, it was because Jeff can cut a promo, Logan. Like loving, hating, the man can cut a promo. He doesn't need to be attached to Eric. Have Eric be attached to Awesome. And just be like, and have Eric being like, Awesome's the new Hogan. He's the new golden boy in WCW. Sorry, Billy, you get to fuck Tori Wilson. I'd much rather take that than beating fucking Hulk Hogan. So there you go. But yeah, that ends the show. Let's roll through these awards. I got for most absurd. I got the graveyard match, Logan.
Yeah, that and the red liquid. The red liquid is just absolutely ridiculous.
Which I love that they don't call blood; they call it red liquid. Like they make sure to say it's red liquid. Like it's fucking everywhere. What do you got for what was good? You like half the show, so
yeah. Just the general beatdowns. Again, maybe not the booking part of it, but just the beatdowns themselves. And yeah, Awesome. I thought he was great.
All right, and what do you got for what was bad?
Maybe just the booking of the new guys. If you're trying to put the new blood over, you didn't do a very good job of that. And I'll throw this in here, but James Grunberg has you on the stock down board because he did not like how you talked to him on the last episode about us correcting him. So for Grooney, you're on the way down on the stock down list, Jeff.
Well, I'm sorry. This is a well-known trait of me. I don't remember what I said, but I apologize, Grooney, for what I said. And when he messages me in a week and a half, I'm gonna be like, I have no idea what the hell you're talking about, Grooney. But yeah, sorry, Grooney. And Grooney will be our special guest for Slamboree. Yeah, he asked to be on it, and I told him sure. So in 2 episodes he'll be on for Slamboree. But we had 7 matches tonight, Logan. 1 clean finish, 6 non-clean or non-finishes, 0 pole matches. So we're still at 5 pole matches total. We had 5 gimmick matches tonight. We're now at 105 gimmick matches, 1 guitar shot. So we're at 33 guitar shots. How many different things happened tonight?
43.
Oh my goodness, that almost broke the 2-hour record, Logan.
I said it's got to be close to the 2-hour record because that's a lot.
44 is the 2-hour record,
okay,
and we're still at 46 title changes. So,
gotcha.
But most of these titles have been missing. Like, where is the Cruiserweight title? Tag Champs, we talked about being MIA. Scott Steiner's there, but he's not defending the U.S. title. Hardcore thing, we haven't seen Terry Funk in like a week. So, well, I'm real interested because I'm pretty sure the next Thunder that we have is Randy Savage's last appearance in WCW.
Oh, boy. Yeah, I know he pops back up, but I didn't know it was the next one.
Yeah, so that's it. So, if you're listening to this the day after Thanksgiving, I hope you have a good Thanksgiving. If you're listening to it whenever, hey, still hope you had a good Thanksgiving for 2025. But this brings an end to another episode of Are You Smarter Than Vince Russo's WCW? As we talked about, we are smarter than Vince Russo's WCW this episode. But I'm Scott Shiflett. He's Logan Crossland, a.k.a. the Backbone of the Backbone. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Peace.